All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So I'm a little busy today, so I'm only going to make one, but I'm going to look at MAXN and GME today, all right? I think I actually covered both of these, maybe over the weekend, give or take, maybe on Friday. They're both doing what we needed them to do, all right? Look, MAXN, I started talking about, and I sent a bunch of posts before Monday. I got a little worried on Monday that volume was going to be low because of the Trump news, right? And I would say that came and went. Obviously, I'll talk about the technical shortly, but look, we're over the 8, we're over that resistance line. I mean, tomorrow is going to be a very, very important day right there, all right? And then really, I think it's going to be the echoing comment on GameStop. Look, GameStop has been doji. Interesting candle. Neither of them are big, strong, make me believes just yet, but you know, we're over some resistance lines, and hey, when that happens and we're over all the moving averages, I mean, you know, what am I supposed to think, right? So again, I think it's going to be really, really important to see what tomorrow does, really the echoing theme on both of these, all right? But hey, definitely looking better than worse, to say the least, all right? And I apologize if you hear that bell in the background. We've got a little rescue kitty, and he's having some fun in the house, all right? So before we do go any further, though, and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance line. Oh man, I am now sorry. I got distracted. I just saw 27 hit after. Look, after hours is always a little bit of a trap, but yeah, I can't pretend I didn't see that right there. We have our horizontal support and resistance lines, and then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. I'm already getting excited about this MAXN chart, and it's still just the intro. My apologies. But really quickly, if you can please subscribe, if you can please share this video. Oh, it does wonders with these algorithms, all right? So, look, I just got caught. I'm not going to pretend I'm not perfect. I'm just a human, right? I generally like to say, you know, after hours is a little bit of a get your hand stuck in the cookie jar. You know what I mean? Like, the rules are different, the volumes are different, and this and that. But I like seeing that 27 cents. I obviously wish I had more decimals on the system, but oh man, that's a good sign. All right, but look, we're in regular hour views. You know, if you watch my videos, regular hours matters the most. All right, so I believe I made a MAXN video, excuse me, either on Friday or over the weekend. I believe this was the last live candle I saw, that Friday the 12th, all right? And really there were I would say 3 big things I was discussing on MAXN, all right? Number 1, and always the most important, had to get over the 8 moving average, all right? As I zoom out, just look, we've been under. Were we going to go back under, or are we actually going to stay up and go? The 8 moving average was the number 1 thing. And look, as I continue to zoom out, since basically right here, since basically the middle of last year, under the 8, little moments, but under the 8, little moment, under the 8, right? Like, we've been under that green line for a long time. So it was really, really important. I started to believe that we were going to get over that. You break the 8, you go to the 20, and my goodness, the 20 is all the way up here. Red, right? I mean, there's a lot of good that could happen if we break the 8, okay? The number 2 thing I talked about was the volume, all right? And the volume was twofold, and that's my 2 and 3, all right? Number 1 is, look, again, I made my last video basically right here. We were averaging at least 200 million shares, right? Like, we were right there, just under, and all of these right there are actually significantly higher, right? So since July 1st all the way through that, July 12th candle, we were nearly at or significantly over 200 million shares traded, all right? 200 million shares traded on a single day is a lot, all right? Excuse me, there are stocks in a full month of trading. I'm talking 4 5-day weeks, all right? Like, it will not get, like, that's significant numbers, and that's really hard to hold behind a resistance. Like, that kind of volume is going to break, you know what I mean? And that was the one too. If volume was able to maintain that 200, it would be really hard to stop. And then the other thing was, and I kind of mentioned in the beginning of the video, I started to get worried that DJT might steal some volume. And it didn't take as much as I thought, but all of that is basically back to where we're at today, right? So Monday we get a little bit of a doji. It's not quite a horrible line under the green. Yes, it's physically under, but again, not confirmation or anything like that. Today we find ourselves over the 8, over our 24 line. We actually are back to that 200 million volume. Another thing, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this as well. So one thing I like to look at when I'm looking at the volume down here is accumulation. All right, say it with me now. Accumulation. I want to believe that more people are buying and holding, accumulating, instead of just buying and selling, basically flipping, right? And I mentioned, and again, I'm roughly using numbers, right? These 2 sells and this 1 buy offset, all right? Because that's basically 400-ish. That's 200, 200. This single candle and these 2 basically offset. That's about 200, that's about 200, that's about 400. And then I would even say these 2 basically offset, right? So there's a little bit more green right here than there is red. And I very much like these 2, all right? So it's not the cleanest view of are people accumulating or are people flipping, but rough math, I think there are more people holding than they are actually selling. Again, I would kind of call it 50-50, and that's kind of close enough to I would say flipping, not really accumulating, but hopefully tomorrow gives us another good green volume, and hopefully it actually gives us 300 million shares. 300 million on a good share, that's where I'm going to start to believe the accumulation's happening. Because again, I think between these 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 candles, 9 trading days, these 9 volume candles down here, I think they're pretty much offsetting. I think people are selling, buying, buying, selling, buying, selling. Now maybe buying and holding. I don't know, right? Let's see what tomorrow tells us, all right? So again, what am I looking for? 2 things. Number 1, I rarely make a horizontal resistance in a gap, right? And as I zoom out, I zoom out, I zoom out, I zoom out, I never, ever would have been able to draw that line, with an educated reason, right? I got this line coming off the weekly. Now look, again, another thing I say is I never really use red candles. I'm here using the green candles to draw supports and resistances. But hey, red, it doesn't always super go to green. For now, I'm going to use half of this guy, roughly that 44-cent line that we see here, all right? So make me believe just a little bit more, and man, I'm thinking 44 cents. I think that make me believe line, sorry, I'm looking over here. All right, yeah, I want around 29 cents. You can see that the wick was actually just under that. Looks like the high was around 27. I really want this to close. All right, I'm going to use that word one more time. I want it to close around 28 or 29 cents tomorrow. All right, that's going to make me start to believe. Again, it only takes a couple pennies to be a double-digit percentage, right? So make me believe we've broken the 8, and all of a sudden I'm going to set my target to that 20. And again, you can see it. It's not immediately the 20. For now, it's that 44. And hey, look, that line is coming down pretty quickly, pretty fast. It might actually get around the 44 line if this thing keeps kind of going up, right? So I'm liking this. I think there's more things to like than not like. Clearly not the best of MACDs. We are in the negative right there. Definitely, I wouldn't even say the best of RSIs. Now, some people might say, hey, it's really low and it's ready to go back up. But the thing is, we're actually below 30, all right? RSI should be between 80 and 30. And I think when we fall below 30, I start to... It's hard because again, you can easily make the argument, hey, this thing is super low and it needs to at least come back up, right? But I don't know, man. I think when they fall below that 30, it starts to make me believe this. It's not the prettiest of stocks for a reason, all right? The very last thing I want to say, I know a lot of people are talking about solar technology as a whole. People are sending me things about, solar panels being cheaper and more effective and this and that. Listen, MAXN is a random 4 letters to me. I don't care that this thing's in the solar sector or anything like that. Truth be told, and I'm zooming out for a reason, we have never... All right, this stock has been around since middle of 2020. We have never had this kind of volume before, all right? If this volume holds, I'll stay. Believe me when I say that. If we go from this like 200 million expectation to all of a sudden like 100-ish, if we start to lose 50%, if we even go below that and all of a sudden we're right back down into the 40 millions, don't forget, it wasn't that long ago that a really good day was only 13 million. An exceptional day was 34 million. That's significantly lower than this 230 that we're at right now, right? So as long as the volume's here, I'm interested. After that, and I'm saying if, I don't know what's for sure going to happen. Maybe it stays, maybe it keeps going. Who knows, right? Volume dictates what my plan does here. I don't think I have to say that enough, all right? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Let's take a quick look at GameStop. And oh man, I think this is one I either covered over the weekend or just before the weekend, but this has been a crazy chart to me, crazy chart. And it's because of this like literal 2-week string of candles right here. You get doji, 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 right? And some people might say maybe this one's not one, whatever. I'm not a candle dude, right? To me, this is a whole mess of continual uncertainty. The last 2 days, yesterday and today, are the closest to maybes, all right? And I think things might be interesting here, all right? Really quickly, please, if you can subscribe, if you can share, oh, it does wonders with these algorithms, all right? So, GameStop, listen, if you've watched my videos before, you know it. If you're over all 5 lines, that's a really good thing in my book. The way it should work is once you get over all 5, you fly, 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 right? The opposite being, hey, if you lose all 5, you die, 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 right? We went well, but the problem was there was never confirmation in that string. I know I talked on the last video. I was a little bit shocked that we didn't do it right there because that's a good candle overall 5. That's an even better confirmation candle right there. I'm surprised we fell back in. I can't stress that enough, all right? And maybe that's a little bit of the reason for all this uncertainty, right? So why is a doji uncertain? Look, trading is a 7-hour game. All right. And on this day, we open at $23.35. We go really high up. We go really, really low down. We basically only end up moving 2 pennies in a 7-hour day. Literally the same thing right here. 2 pennies right there. Actually, no pennies at all. We open at $24.60. In a 7-hour day, we go all the way up there, all the way down there, and literally close to the penny at the exact. Talk about uncertainty. People aren't sure if it should break it. People aren't sure if it should lose it. Let's just wait till tomorrow. People aren't sure if we should lose it. People aren't sure if we should break it. Let's just wait till tomorrow. And really, to me, you can say the same thing about every single one of those. Basically, what do we say? 9, 3, 6, 9. The last 2 have a little bit more life. This one opens down here and goes all the way up there. This one opens down here and goes all the way up there. Today, again, it's not significant, but we gap up today. We did, right? This thing closes yesterday at $27 flat. You can see it in the box over there. This morning, we open gap up $1.50 more at $27.60. Sorry, I did bad math. That was really silly. Regardless, you get the point. We gap up. Lovely, right? We, more than anything, I think, actually finally get over this resistance. But look, we've had prettier candles. We've had prettier candles. We've had prettier candles. Even this one, we've had prettier candles over the line, all right? I think the one chart I want to highlight is SoFi. So I've been really critical on SoFi basically from this entire view. We get, and it's all about the 50 moving average. We get over that red line and then fail. That's a good candle. That's a good candle. We fail. That's that's not even a decent one, but we fail. That's a nice one, but we fail. That's a nice one, but we fail. This wasn't the best one too, but if you go back and you watch, I said, I think this is finally ready. Lo and behold, we had a really nice 2 days that follow. With GameStop, I think I have that same little feeling. Look, we've had prettier candles over. We've had prettier candles over. We've had prettier candles. Even that one, right? I literally just said that a second ago. I like this one too, especially considering the fact that we had essentially 9 dojis in my book, all right? MACD is positive. RSI is arguably a little high, 70s on the high side, right? But hey, I mean, GameStop does some silly things. It got to a 95 right there, got to a 91 the day before. It actually lived in the mid 80s to that 94 that I just talked about. GameStop can do it if it wants, right? It is all about the volume. We need 3x the volume just to hit the average day, right? We need 100 million shares. We need 100 million shares, all right? If I need 100 million shares in a 7-hour day, let's round it up. Let's go 15 million shares in the first hour, 30 million shares in the second hour. Look, if we're hitting 30 million shares in the second hour, that's already more than the entire 7-hour days of today, right? So that will do it. That will do it strong and well, all right? Give me 100. The bare minimum, right? And again, I'm going to click right here, is 70 million. Right? Let's be honest. The bare minimum is actually 63 million because that's actually what the 50 average is. But give me 70 million shares, basically a 10 million. Yep, that was dumb math. It took me way too long to do that. But give me 10 million shares an hour. You can see it even there in a few hours. We'll get more than today's, right? So that's what we're looking for. But yeah, I like this string. And like I said, I think it kind of reminds me of SoFi. And SoFi finally did drop the hammer, right? I'll look at the weekly. Oof, that's an important weekly right there. That's an important weekly look. It's still very, very early in the week, but this is giving me some nice signals. Again, 75 is still just a little higher than ideal, but MACD's positive. We're just riding the 8 really well. We might even golden cross that 20 on the 100 next week, right? So I'm liking this. I actually am, and I think that kind of gives me more of that SoFi feeling that I just mentioned a minute ago, all right? So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so much.